Hey folks, Ben Diggle yet again. This time, it's not because we forgot to start recording, it's because we were already recording and we had a couple different guests jump on. And today's guest, Evan Fahrner, just happened to roll right into the conversation, so we were already taping. Um, but we didn't get a chance to introduce him. Evan is a uh, graduate of Notre Dame High School, went from Notre Dame up to St. Francis University in Joliet, came back from St. Francis to ICC, and then ended up at Bradley University. And that is grossly oversimplifying the story. Um, this is a guy who literally walked on at all three of his college stops and was a 13th round draft pick. So I hope you'll give Evan some give Evan's story a listen. It's really impressive. So without further ado, here's Evan Fahrner.
Trendsetter, whoa, league of my own, it don't get better. No, read what I wrote, I'm a bestseller. Yeah, reach for my goals, hit it dead center, hit it dead center.
One time we forgot to record, and a high school kid went into a pretty good, well-articulated story about what he'd been doing in the off season. And Ben goes, "Oh shit, hold on. Oh, sorry. Hold on. We got to record this." We're a ragtag bunch, but we like what we do, and we do what we like.
Yeah, this is fun. This is noble work you guys are doing. This is great.
We had Jake the Snake Smith on Monday. Had
Okay.
some outstanding anecdotes about Pat Mahomes Sr. Kind of his story of
babysitting Pat Jr.
Yes, babysitting Pat Jr. like in the dugout when he wasn't catching. Just awesome stuff.
Did Mahomes play up in, where was he? Sioux Falls?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it was
Okay.
like towards the end of his career,
out.
right?
Yeah. I
think
feel
he
like
was like 39 at the time.
Yeah.
I thought there was a point where he was like with the St. Paul Saints, but maybe not.
I think he did both. I think he got released in Sioux Falls and then went to the Saints when Bill Murray took over, I think.
Okay.
I think that was like the big shebang, like because Bill Murray brought in like him, Strawberry, like all these old big leaguers, and that was supposed to be the way they were going to draw people.
Are you
Okay.
talking D. Bill Murray?
Yeah,
Like
the Bill
Venkman?
Murray.
Yeah. I wonder if he still owns them. I don't know.
I believe so. I don't hold me to that, but I'm pretty sure.
That's a fun place to play. They do some weird stuff.
Yeah,
Weird
well, now
between inning promotions.
Now it's the Twins AAA team.
That's right. That's right.
So,
Should we start things off, Diggs?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You do your intro and then lead him into his playing curriculum vitae, starting in the prestigious Joliet, Illinois.
Yeah, yeah.
Evan, do you want me to talk about like, hey, he played at Notre Dame, ICC?
You don't have to. You can make it short and sweet.
You do it, Ev, and you do it, Ev, because it is a little bit confusing. Like for a while, I thought I had it figured out, and then I'm like, wait, I think I forgot a stop along the way.
Oh yeah, lots of stops. So what you just
let me introduce you real quick.
Diggle do the intro. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Welcome, folks. We are once again joined by another friend of the pod, Mr. Evan Fahrner. As you know, to celebrate the start of baseball here in Illinois, well, the start of high school baseball here in Illinois this week, we have reached out to some of our friends who are outstanding storytellers. And Evan is both highly accomplished and a great storyteller. So we're thrilled to have Evan join us on tonight. Evan, tell the kids at home a little bit about your background as a player.
Hey guys, yeah, sure. So thanks for having me. Grew up in Central Illinois in Peoria, loved it. I grew up probably about 2 blocks from Bradley. Went to Peoria Notre Dame. After high school, went to College of St. Francis for a year up in Joliet, and then headed over to ICC for my sophomore year. And then my junior year, I went to Bradley University and played for the great Dewey Calmer. And then after my junior year, I was drafted by the Diamondbacks and went on to play about 8.5, 9 years of professional baseball, 5 different organizations, and a couple of indie ball stops along the way. So, ended my career at 29, and have since moved down to Marietta, Georgia here, which is really the breadbasket of a lot of high school baseball, a lot of recruiting, a lot of college summer league travel ball tournaments. We're right here, so it's been a great experience so far watching my son grow up here.
Not only baseball, but man, that whole area, even basketball. When I came to
Yep.
visit you, Evan, I think it was like in either early November or late October, and your daughter was like mid-season,
Yeah.
um, rolling. Like obviously football's huge down there, but I was just impressed with how much sports was prioritized in life in general down there in Georgia.
It's big. It's big business now. Lot of lot of players down here. Wheeler High School is pretty close by. I think they just had I don't know, a 5-star prospect out of there. Athens is just an hour and a half east of here, so you get a lot of recruits in football going to Georgia. Huge dog fans down here everywhere. Um, Georgia Tech is right downtown, probably like 30 minutes away. So yeah, a lot of happenings going on with colleges, SEC, ACC, and thereabouts. So it's fun. It's fun to watch games and see kids go places and realize their game or realize their dreams and the game they play.
Evan,
Excellent.
does Georgia still have the deal where I think if you have like a 3.5 or maybe it's even just a 3.0,
Yeah.
where you go to UGA for free?
Yeah, I came
There's
down
no
here and
tuition.
it's any state school. It's called the Hope Scholarship. I want to say it's funded by the lottery down here, and it's a straight 3.0. If you get a 3.0 in high school, then and you get accepted to, any state school, you go there. I think pretty much tuition is free. I don't know about room and board,
Yeah, I think it's
but
just
I want to say
tuition.
tuition is free. Yeah, pretty
That's
sweet deal.
incredible. Yeah, that's a great deal.
Unbelievable. Yep. So right now, halfway through junior year, our oldest is in line for the Hope, and I probably mention it to him once every 2 weeks. Hey, let's work towards that Hope scholarship because that's a big deal for
I
sure.
mean, that's certainly an option, but let's not sell short coming back to play for Dad's alma mater. All right, like
That's
we
right.
need to
That's
get him
right.
in Cougar blue and gold, and then see what happens.
Hey, Nolan loves it back home. Loves going back there when we come and visit at Christmas time. So yeah, that could be a thing. You never know. I'd miss going to see his games all the time personally. But yeah, if the
Don't
option
worry,
presents itself.
we're streaming. We stream now. We've got a wear. We're good.
Oh, okay,
You'll
nice,
see everything.
nice.
And for you folks at home, Nolan is his son, who's a junior, who made the varsity team of the number 9 ranked in the state of Georgia, Walton High Ball Club. And he is getting some innings as a junior on a team that has how many D1 commits, Evan? Like 3?
Few different recruit. Yeah, like 3, possibly 4 right now. Who knows what the season holds? And if anybody else goes anywhere, but I think we got uh likely a solid 4 now. Yeah.
It's a decent club. So it is a big deal that he not only is pitching, but made the team, which, Evan and I have talked a lot. It's not easy to do.
Very
Um,
different down there to make the team than it is
yes.
up here.
Yeah,
Yes.
he's worked hard. And I mean he's reaping the rewards right now. He's a trusted arm in their bullpen as a junior, and yeah, he's been performing well. So very excited for him. Love watching him. It's nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
Um, it's crazy. It's pacing back and forth, but it's fun to watch, and I always look forward to the games, and I'm excited for the twin bill tomorrow night.
Evan, one
Nice.
of my favorite stories about you now we're going to go back like 32 years. Your junior year. So, I went to Richwoods, Evan went to Pure Notre Dame. We all lived in the same neighborhood Mostly.
And for the listeners back not familiar with Peoria, the schools are literally separated by 2 blocks.
Yeah, it's really close. They were definitely, you guys were our rival and vice versa. Junior year, didn't know your name. Tell me what you did that summer between junior and senior year that turned around your pitching trajectory into a MLB draft pick.
I can I can tell you exactly what happened, Dave. So Jerry Rashid, our coach there, kind of took me aside after sophomore year, said, "Hey, probably not going to make the team as a catcher next year. You got to look for another position." Couldn't really hit, decent defensively, but last resort is pitching. And so I had spent probably a few months bat boying for the Chiefs. I lived right across the highway from Peoria Chiefs. I had a buddy in the neighborhood who was a bat boy, and he's like, "Hey, you want to like come along one day?" And I'm like, "Sure, that would be awesome." So hanging out in the clubhouse, they had these magazines, Baseball America,
Yeah.
and I was just kind of leafing through some of those, and I'm like, this magazine is awesome. Bunch of stories about drafted guys, grinding through the minor leagues, stuff like that. And so I asked my aunt for Christmas. She gets me a subscription to Baseball America. And at the time, there's 3 prospects coming up from the Mets. They're all pitchers: Bill Pulsifer, uh, Paul Wilson, and Jason Isringhausen.
Izzy,
And so
Pulse,
I'm
and Paul.
yeah, and so I'm reading through this, and I'm reading about these guys, and I'm loving Jason Isringhausen, Illinois guy, grew up in Brighton. He was an outfielder for Lewis and Clark,
Yep.
Drafted in the 44th round by the Mets as a pitcher, and all these articles are talking about this banger curveball, this curveball that he's striking everybody out on. And so I'm like, man, I'm excited. I know about this guy. And so I find out that he's starting, and I did some pre-podcast research here, guys, and it was July 17th of 95. And I know he's pitching, and it's against the Cubbies. And it's like an afternoon game, maybe 3:05 start, and I'm turning on WGN to watch this guy that I've read about so much, and I see that deuce, and I'm like, I see big league guys' reaction to it like they've not seen anything like that, and I'm like, I've got to figure out how to throw that. And so I don't know, maybe a week later, looking at I'm at the Northwoods with my parents, hit Walden Books for like any type of magazine that might have him on the cover, and then I see that grip of his holding that spike curveball, and the next day I'm messing around with it, and I'm kind of tinkering and experimenting with it 10-15 minutes, and I've got it down, and I got a pretty good feel for it, and I can spot it. And that was it. It was just kind of following another guy that was doing it and seeing it on TV and being like, man, that I need to figure out how to do that. And that was it. That was it. And maybe some strength came along with the fastball a little bit, and then I don't know, couldn't really throw a changeup, but I was able to locate those 2 pitches pretty much, and almost like pitch backwards, being able to spot a breaking ball in fastball counts, start off an at bat with a curveball,
Yep.
showing it for a strike, and then expanding the zone low. And that was the whole game for me, just a kind of a cat and mouse game there.
Did you do a lot of long toss that
Tons,
summer too? Yeah.
tons of long toss, daily.
There's
Had a
like a buddy
routine
that
where,
lived down the street, right? And you guys
yeah,
would just go to like the nearest park in West Peoria and yeah.
yeah, Bradley Park, that top part of Bradley Park, right along Parkside Drive there. There's like a little field, and him and I would throw. He never said no, man. It was like a daily thing for probably, I mean, maybe we'd go 5-6 times a week, and it wasn't any like 15-minute throw. It was like we were getting out to pretty decent, like as hard as you can throw for as far as you can throw for 20-25 minutes, just flat ground, nothing off the mound, but just kind of slowly building up that body strength to be able to, I keep a ball straight, Try to be as consistent as you can with four seam rotation. Don't let it tail. And when you get out to, 200 feet, 225, whatever it was, and then you go back down to 60, it's like being able to locate that after throwing that distance. It's a whole lot easier to do, I think.
We had a young man on who just touched 90 at a showcase called the PBR O'Hare Showcase. And we asked him, how long have you been pitching? He said, honestly, he just started like the year prior. And I think he was going into his senior year. Is that right,
Mhm.
Diggle? Or was
Polkowski?
yeah.
Yeah, he got sick of getting beat. He said, I got sick of getting beat. We had plenty of bats, but we didn't have any pitching. So he's like, I
Yeah.
said
So
to him, Coach, give me the ball.
yeah. Evan, can you tell me one of my favorite stories that you've told me in the past about a certain former Cub pitcher, Randy Wells, who was a catcher
Yeah.
and was about to be released, but then, and I'll let you take it from there.
Yeah, no, we were at the Mazona. It's a hotel in Mesa, Arizona. It's kind of where the Cub spring training is, and you hang out there for a month while you're looking to make a team down there. And Randy, I'm trying to think of where he went. I want to say Southeastern or something. Is there a JC Southeastern in Illinois?
Southeastern. Yeah, well, it's over across the border in Iowa, right across the
Okay,
border.
I think that's where he went. But yeah, he's in camp as a catcher and maybe struggling a little bit. He was kind of like a rung lower. He was like working out an A ball when I was like trying to make the double A squad there. But he's rooming with a buddy of mine that was actually in my wedding, and so we're hanging out all the time. And he comes back in. I remember the day, and they're they didn't want to release me. They wanted to hang on and try me out as a pitcher. So it's like halfway through camp, he's transitioning to a pitcher. And he had pitched a little bit in high school, maybe. I don't know if he saw the mound at all in junior college, but he had a changeup that was just it was a good one. A little bit of fade, could spot a fastball, had you know big body, big dude, probably 6'3", 6'4", something like that, and ended working his way up. And he was, I want to say, second or third in Rookie of the Year voting in the NL, his rookie year up there. So,
Yeah. He had a
great
couple, like
dude.
2 years that were very decent.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. His rookie year coming up, he was, I want to say he had like 8 or 9 wins, something like that.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Do you have
He's
any
good.
Moneyball? Because you were with the Oakland organization,
Yeah.
now Sacramento, soon to be Vegas. But I know you still talk to a few guys from those ball clubs in Oakland. Any good Moneyball stories for the folks?
After having read that book and then thinking back and knowing those guys, that was a good group. And I 5 different orgs, and I loved the Oakland organization. I felt like they had a good idea of how to draft. It seemed like all teams in the organization were playoff teams year after year. A lot of minor league championships. And it was just you could tell hitters especially had such a great eye for the zone. Their mantra in Oakland was patience and power at the plate. And guys would just spit on, balls 2, 3 inches off the plate where you'd see some other guys, maybe from other teams swinging at, just very, very disciplined, knowing that they're going to get their pitch at some point in the count and then not missing it when they do. A lot of power hitter guys. I don't know. It was fun. Being on the pitching side of things and having a great offense on your team really, I don't know, maybe calms you down or makes you feel like, man, I'm gonna put up good numbers this year because we're gonna win because we put up 8, 9 runs a game, it seems like. So a lot of great players. Pretty much I was timing wise, I was there with all of the Moneyball draft guys. And I think if you go back to that movie, there's a scene where they got a bunch of names on the board, and those are real names that are out there from the guys that they actually picked that year. So very cool to have that connection having played with those guys, and then that movie is one of my favorite movies too. I've seen it, 5, 6 times.
It's solid. Who's the guy when I was down there visiting you that you were texting with who works for MLB Network and he had just done like a sketch or something and you fired him a text like, hey, I didn't know that. I just saw you on TV and he fired you back like while he was taking a break on air.
I think it was Braden. So yeah, I was very fortunate in like my living situations. I had a couple of roommates. I had a roommate that won 4 World Series, making it up there. I had a roommate that threw a perfect game, and so that was Dallas. And he's still an announcer for Oakland. He does a great
That's
job.
right.
Anytimes there's a game on, a West Coast game late, and Oakland's playing somebody, I will turn that on because he's great at what he does. He's a great lefty pitcher. Um, but yeah, he as an announcer, he's just as good. He's fun to listen to.
Yeah, I thought that was awesome. You and I were sitting there having a beer and we were watching the game, I think, now that my memory's coming back. And I see you like, you're texting somebody, not unlike everybody does now. And you'll go, hey, dude, look at this. This is Dallas Braden. And I'm like, wait, the guy who's talking right now, he just responded. You're like, yeah, it was like during commercial. He
Yeah,
fired you
great
back.
guy. Yeah, he responds to text during commercial breaks, between innings, warm-ups. Great guy. I couldn't believe it.
Amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
Diggle, you got anything, Diggs?
Well, so Evan, the reason we're doing this, we one of the things we want to try to remind kids is, obviously you're competing. It's, for high school pride. It's for your own personal goal setting, all that. But we also want people, especially you parents, not you, but parents in general, to understand that, hey, this is also about, having fun. And I think, Dave and I have sat. This is our third or fourth night doing this, and we've sat through all these and just, had all these memories come flooding back. And so, give me your favorite high school baseball story or your favorite JUCO baseball story.
Man, I'll tell you, looking back, one of my favorite stories, and maybe the path that I took was a little bit different. Going, walking on at an NAIA school, walking on it at ICC, and then walking on at Bradley. Um, there was a situation at ICC. Maybe it was like mid-April ish, somewhere around there. Um, Halfway through the season, I don't know what I'm doing for my junior year. I don't know where I'm going. UIC had shown some interest in me. I went up there for a visit, and it was big city, man. And I was like, "Ooh, I don't know. This is a little bit too much for me." Kind of right downtown in Chicago, beautiful field. You got the skyline right there in center field, and I'm like, "Man, I don't know. This isn't it." And so, mid-April, rainy season, right up there in Illinois, ICC practice gets canceled. And spur of the moment, I'm just like, I'm going to see what's going on over at Bradley today. And so I drive over to Bradley. I park at Hostler Hall, and I just walk in unannounced. I didn't know if practice was going on there, but sure enough, it was happening up in those. They had 3 gyms back to back. They had partitioned walls that they could pull back. So it was like a pretty big, you couldn't get a full field, but I mean, that's where we practiced preseason, it being, with snow outside. And I walk into Bradley's practice completely unannounced. And I walk over to Dewey. This is my recruiting trip at Bradley. I walk over, I'm like, "Hey coach," introduce myself, and I'm like, "Hey, can we talk for like 5 minutes?" So I take him out of practice and we go down to his office, and I'm just like, "Hey, I'm planning to come here next year. Do you think if I try out, I would make the team? Or do you think I would get innings or anything like that?" And he didn't turn me down. He goes, "Yes." And that was it. I didn't ask for money. I was just thankful to kind of have a path for that next year. Maybe it calmed my nerves about my baseball career and where I was going. So there was never like a scholarship talk or anything like that. And I was fine with that. I'm sure my dad was like unhappy with maybe the money that I turned down at UIC, but I felt like I was following my heart going there. I had walked through that campus for 8 9 years from my house walking to grade school. I went to St. Mark's, which is like a block away from their campus, and so very familiar with the area. Um, I mean, mine and field was right across 74 from my house, pretty much. So I feel like that level of comfort really helped me along my way, and kind of got me through that junior year. Um, and kept me in a good spot there. So I don't know, maybe it was uh my ambition, maybe it was just maybe a, I don't know, lack of respect walking into their practice unannounced like that and taking him away. But Dewey didn't say no, and so I'm very thankful for him giving me that opportunity, and it was a great ride. Had a great season there at Bradley. Realized my dream getting drafted by Arizona. Ended up meeting my wife there, so things certainly worked out um, taking that path.
It's an awesome story.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
really is. It's
yeah,
inspiring. And for those young kids out there who are thinking about walking on, or, listening to your heart about going to this school or that school, do what you think is right in your heart and, in your mind. And, even if maybe logically it's not quite as sound financially, or what your family wants you to do, or what a teammate wants you to, because a lot of times these teammates now, hey, let's both go play over here, which is cool and fun. I'm sure it's awesome. But I think it's always good to listen to that voice in your head, and your story just amplifies that theme. Such a good story.
yeah. And I would also add, like, kids in high school. Um, say you're a guy that doesn't get money or doesn't get recruited, out of high school or something like that, or maybe doesn't get any interest from the school that they feel like they want to go to. That walk on route is still an open thing. You know what I mean? There's spots available given the number of scholarships that baseball has and the number of roster spots that they can fill. That's a thing. If you can hit, or if you can spin it, or throw it, then that is an option for you. And it's, I think it probably staves off complacency a little bit, makes you work hard for it. Maybe I didn't get money, or didn't get anything freshman year, but man, I'm going to go there and I'm going to try and try to open up some eyes, and maybe I'll get something sophomore year.
I think your story also shows, and Diggle, you can attest to this, being a JUCO guy, that look, if the Division I school, like you said, your top three D1 schools, they don't give you any love, it's okay, because they might give you love 2 years from now. You go junior college and try to transfer to that school. So you don't have to give up on the dream just because it doesn't happen when you're 17 or 18. Keep plugging along. I've always loved your story, Evan, your adventure and journey through baseball. It's inspiring, and it just shows that hard work and not giving up on what you want to eventually do can get you there.
Yeah, yeah, it was a fun ride, and there's nowhere I would have rather been. I mean, there's lifelong friends that I made, you know, going through all those teams in Peoria, and still keep in touch with a lot of those guys. So it was a fun time, tons of memories, and I loved every second of it.
Shall we do a transition here? Evan, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, guys.
We're gonna save that you showering next to Sammy Sosa at spring training story for next time you come on. It's
Yeah,
we got to leave the audience dangling a little bit, but awesome storytelling, great stuff. Thank you for coming on. It's been a pleasure.
yeah, guys. Thanks for having me. Appreciate the time, and great looking back and thinking about those memories.